Assalamualaikum and very good day. We are from section 37 from Ulab 3162 and we will perform a negotiation. Assalamualaikum and very good day. I have very good news, guys. We are offered by Go Global for an internship program abroad. However, they provide us 8 different cities to choose from to do our internship program, which is Melbourne, Tokyo, Taiwan, London, Dubai, Seoul, Berlin, and Ottawa. So, today we will negotiate the ranking of the most to the least preferred location for the internship. So, I will start first. In my opinion, the best city for internship for Go Global is in London. This is because the average monthly living cost of internship in London is about 400 British pound, which is about 2,300 ringgits. We will be granted a salary of 2,000 ringgits per month. So you might think at first that it is insufficient for our daily life. However, that 400 British pounds is including the hostel fees. Since the hostel fees are free for us, the 2,000 ringgits will be more than enough for us to spend during our internship program. So, what do you think, Aiman Jaffar?
Thank you, Imanrullah, for your suggestion. Next, for our internship program, I recommend to pursue our internship in Seoul branch. Why? Seoul, South Korea is the hub of all exciting things in Korea, and one of the reasons why I think Seoul as our internship branch is because of the food. Every street corner sell inexpensive and delectable food. And let's say if we spend around 13,482 won, which is roughly around 50 ringgit, we can buy pancake and coffee for the breakfast around 1,000 and 4,297 won, and cup bread and mineral for 2,000 for both for the lunch, and McDonald's around 6,185 won for the dinner. And for me, it is a good choice. And if we have a better money management, we can try and discover Korean food such as spicy rice cake, tteokbokki, or Korean pancake panjon. So, how about you, Lin Chute?
I think, in my opinion, the Taiwan should be my choice to go for the internship because the currency conversion is quite low. The average monthly living cost is around 15,500 new Taiwan dollar. If converted to ringgit Malaysia, is only around 2,300 ringgit Malaysia. Since our allowance given are around 2,000 ringgit Malaysia, we can use our own pocket money to cover the rest of the living costs, which I think is a very reasonable amount since we are a student, we do not have so much money. And if talking about food, we can always go to the local grocery store. There are a lot of local grocery store there. We can choose from a variety of them. We can also buy cheap food from the street hawkers. They are popular with these so-called street hawkers. There are a lot of varieties to choose from and a lot of price that we can choose from. So I think as a student like us, Taiwan is more suitable to be choose. What about you, Alani? What do you think?
Okay, for my point of view, I think we should choose Melbourne because in my research, Melbourne is the foreign country that only take about 7 hours from Malaysia to the place. So, if in case in the emergency, we can return to the Malaysia in less than 24 hours, then we can arrive on the hometown. Side, I think we should choose Melbourne is because as a Muslim, Melbourne is a place that have the most of the halal food. It's really to find halal food restaurant. And besides, if we kind of save our budget, there's also a market that have selling the halal product for Muslims. So we can cook it and cut the budget. So I think it should be the best place to go for it. What about you, MARZUQI?
From my point of view, I would suggest us to apply our internship in Tokyo. So I did some research on cost of living there. Our allowance given by company is about 2,000 ringgit, which is 53,239 yen converted to Japan money. So I did some calculation about all the expenses, and I think the average cost of living Tokyo is about 11,585 yen. So this is a quite a lot of balance from our allowance. So is I think that will be our advantage that we can use that money to allocate for other purpose such as for our entertainment and vacation. So Imanrullah, I have a question for you. How about London accommodation?
So for London, it is well known that London is well known for its connected cities and low-cost commute choices. We will not need to rent cars throughout our internship program because public transportation such as bus, cabs, trains have reasonable costs and can save us time. So another thing, London also have lot of cycling tracks throughout the city. So we can just invest in a bicycle, a cheap one, and save even more money on accommodation for the long term. So Aiman, what about the public transportation is condition in Seoul?
Okay, in South Korea, public transportation is easily accessible and dependable. There is always a cheap way to get to somewhere with taxi, buses, subway, and railways. The common transport that we can choose is the metro ride, around 1,349 won. If we convert in Malaysia money, Malaysia ringgit is around 5 ringgit, and another one is a subway card, around 4,917 won. Let's say it's around 20 ringgit. So I think we can use the public transport to move from one place to another. And also, South Korea only take 4-hour drive from tip to tip, and so can serve as hub to explore other part of the country such as Busan and Jeju Island. So for me, the accommodation in Seoul is quite okay, not very expensive compared to other country that I have been for. So what about you, Ninchutek? How about the transportation in Taiwan?
Just like in London, in Taiwan, there are a lot of bicycle track. So if we want to go for a budget way, but at the same time we will use our energy, we can invest in a bicycle to transport there. Aside from bicycle, there are also a lot of public transport like buses, taxis, or even trains. So we can also choose to go that way. But in some cases, the accommodation there we will live nearby the company that we do our internship in. So we can basically just walk to the place we intern. What about you, Alani? What about the native language that they use at Melbourne?
Okay, actually, Melbourne, one of the cities in Australia. So basically, in Australia, the native is the English language, and most of the local can speak English very well. So we doesn't need any other language or foreign language for our intern. That saves some time, and we also have the language for our own country. Another one, some point that I clear about Tokyo is how is the quality of life in Tokyo.
I would say that Tokyo has a high significant index in safety and health. For my research, I found that safety index in Tokyo is 76%, while health index is 79%. I think Tokyo will make a better place to live due to high safety index. Besides, health play important role in our life. We need to perform in our internship so we can get a better mark for our internship. So for Iman, what is the best part of studying in London?
So to me, the best part of studying in London is visiting the foreign land and exploring its culture. London has a rich cultural heritage that is unique to the country. So we can explore places such as the Buckingham Palace, Tower of London, and the British Museum, which is a very historical attraction. With this, we will have a more enjoyable experience doing the internship instead of just studying and doing work. Hence, I believe that London should be placed first in our ranking of picking the best cities to do the internship. On the other hand, the city that I least likely to recommend is Berlin. During my research, I found that the city of Berlin have the highest crime rates in Germany in 2019. That alone should convince you that Berlin is not a safe place for us students to do their internship. Hence, I think Berlin should be put last in for this. How about you, Aiman?
For me, the least city that I will not recommend to our group to pursue our internship is Ottawa, Canada. Why? Because you need to have a bilingual to get a job. As you can see, Ottawa are very influenced by France. So both English and French is their official language. And in Ottawa, it is common for Ottawa kids to take French immersion from school to have a great start. So for us, which we are not familiar with French language, it's quite problematic for us to apply job and communicate with the people at Ottawa. So this is why I not recommend us to pursue our internship in Ottawa. So what about you, Atek? What are your least recommendation place for the internship?
As for me, the least recommended place to do internship is same as Iman, which is Berlin. As Iman mentioned, the crime rate there is quite high, so I think for safety issue, it will be a concern for us, especially we are a student there. And above Berlin, I think we should put Dubai as the second least recommended because of the lifestyle there. As we know, Dubai is quite a luxury place, so student like us who doesn't have a lot of pocket money shouldn't be there because we do not have enough to afford the lifestyle there. And at the same time, the weather there is very hot, and there might also be sandstorm, which we are not familiar with. So I don't think it is recommended for us to go there. So it should be second above the Berlin. What about you, Alani?
Okay, in my point of view, I think I agree with that. Whereas for state that Dubai have the highest rate of expenses and is maybe not affordable for the student. And while for the Berlin, the crime rate is really high. The sake of our safety is really important for the internship to get back safety from the country. And I quite partially agree with Aiman's point where Ottawa, about the language, because they also learn it. So I think that's the only point that I partially. Instead of France, it's also non-English, so maybe not a problem. So, what do you think, Marzuqi? Do you agree with me?
I think I would agree with Iman JAFFAR because learning a new language is such a burden for us. Besides, it's just a waste of time since we only want to pursue our internship for 3 months only. I think it's not relevant for us to learn a new language. Since we have a wrap up our least preferred location, Iman, what is your best preferred location for our internship?
So, since the average living cost in London is quite low and very reasonable, and it have a public transportation that is well connected throughout the cities, and it has a very rich historical heritage and cultural uniqueness, I really think that London should be placed first in the list, while Berlin, which is a high crime rate, should be placed last on the list. So, what do you think, Aiman?
I agree with you that we should place London as our first place for the internship program because I love the work culture. It's very pleasant for us to working together with them. And I want to suggest that Korea as our second choice because aside from learning and working at the internship program, we also want to discover other heritage, their traditional culture, and I prefer Korean because they have a lot of things that we can discover and learn new things. And their technology also quite developed compared to our country. Lin Chutek, how about you?
I agree with you that London and Seoul should be followed by first and second. And the third, I would like to suggest Melbourne because Melbourne is quite close to our country. So if we have any emergency, we can just travel back fairly quickly. And the weather there is also suitable for people like us. We can get used to the weather there easily, I think. And the living cost is also quite reasonable based on ALLANY. What do you think, ALLANY?
I think Melbourne should not place number 3. Because actually, in Melbourne, based on our salary for the internship, I select back for that internship in Melbourne because the salary is 2,000 ringgit only, and the average cost living in Australia is, which is for a single person, is about 4,115 ringgit per month without rent. Since we already have the hostel for living in it, it's still quite struggling to intern over there. We need to follow a strict budget plan and minimize our expenses. And another one, for the weather, the country is a 4-season country, so we also need to expand for our other
Winter clothes.
So,
Yeah.
I would suggest it place to the number 5. And for the number 3, it should be Tokyo. I believe it should be Tokyo because all the utilities that they provide. How about you? How do you think?
I think I would like to agree with Lani's statement. I think Tokyo is the third place on the list. This is because living there, we will surrounded with a good society people. So it will affect our discipline in our daily life. However, we still need to learn a new language, burdening us, because in Japan, they use 100% language as a platform to communicate in the world. So, I will not suggest Tokyo as a first place and second place because London is using our second language, which is English. That we already master since I was in school. When it comes food in Seoul, it's interesting that only 50 ringgit per day we can get a variety of food. I think it is more cheaper than Tokyo.
I agree with you, Zuki.
So can I suggest that we place Taiwan as our fourth place because like Ling Chutek said, you can easily obtain the food from stall and the transportation, they are very variety, and if we have emergency we can choose whatever that we want, right?
Yes.
Alright,
So how about
even
you guys' opinion?
I agree with Aiman that Taiwan is at the 4th place. So to
Yes.
wrap up, so we agree that the first place is London, the second place is Seoul, the third place is
Okay.
Tokyo, the fourth place is Taiwan, the fifth place is Melbourne, the sixth place is Ottawa, seventh place is Dubai, and the last place is Berlin. Anyone agree? Anyone
Yeah,
agree?
I'm okay with that.
definitely
Yeah,
agree.
I'm agree with
We
your.
choose our
Okay, so I
Yeah.
think that we can wrap it up. Thank you guys for your time and see you all soon. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Let's go